Hey there, it's that coding guy here. In this video, I'd like to talk about strings. Strings are complex data types. That is in contrast to the primitive data types that we talked about in a previous video, like ints and shorts and things like that. If you need a refresher, go check those guys out. But strings are basically a sentence. What we would think of as a sentence is what a string is in Java. So if I said hello, this is a string. It's pretty much anything stuck in quotes. It's text generally, what you would think of as text. So if we just declare this with a string, my string, actually that's not very descriptive. Let's call this greeting. We've now declared a string, and because string is a complex data type, we use the capital letter. So if we had tried to say string here, it doesn't know what that is. And so the primitives use the small, and complex data types use the big. Later we'll learn more about classes, and it'll be clear why this is the way it is. But for now, just take my word for it, and just remember that that's a best practice there. Capital letters. So if we wanted to print this out to the console, could do that no problem. System out, print line, I use my little SOUT macro there, and then we can just run this guy and print out our greeting. And it says hello. And, well, I guess we should be specific about who we're saying hello to. So I'll do string my name equal to that coding guy. All right. Now, if we added two integers together with the addition sign, if you remember the addition operator, there's a video on that too. If you need a refresher, go check those out. If we had another quiz score here, like a Viet quiz score, and we wanted to add those two together, I don't know why we would add two quiz scores together other than to maybe average them or something like that, but and if we wanted to print that out, then we could do that instead. We get 161. What happens if we add two strings together? Let's try it out. Move this guy down here, and we'll add greeting to my name, and change this to a string. And cool. Any ideas on what this is going to actually do? What if I added a space here? Is that a clue? Let's check it out. So addition actually adds two strings together. It concatenates them. It helps me see things sometimes to remember them and understand what the actual words are. So we've got concatenation and concatenate there. We concatenated these two variables into the output. So that's cool there. You know, and as with anything else, we could always stick these inside here as well. We don't need that variable in between. We can take that step right there and just print out the result of this operation. So the addition sign is different. It does two different things based upon what the types are, right? So we saw that we can add these ints together and it performs arithmetic, but if we have the addition symbol between two strings, it concatenates. And the tricky thing is, if you have a string such as the greeting and another type, Java is going to say, oh, you must want to treat this other thing as a string. And it actually just concatenates these two together as a string. Even though this is an integer type, it implicitly, under the hood, does a little type conversion for us. So it can be helpful to use these guys. Like if we were printing out Priya's quiz score here, it might be helpful to have a string that tells us what that thing is, because if we just run this right now and we print out 86, like we've got no context necessarily about what's there other than the name of this variable. But if someone is just seeing the output, like, what is that? So we could say Priya's quiz score and maybe put a colon there, make that look kind of nice, and terminate our string with the quote, concatenate the other variable there, print that out, and then it looks kind of nice. So we could do the same thing with Viet's quiz score. And so on. So that's a bit about strings right there. There are some other things that we can do with strings, but I want to wait a little bit to get into that until we've talked about classes, because those things are going to be a little more complicated and deal with methods and things which we haven't touched on. So that's some string basics that you can play around with, and we'll dig in more later. Cheers.